being Minnesota nice, and Prince was genuinely like a Minnesota nice guy.
Prince was a huge legend, not just across the world, but in Minnesota, and it brought people to Minnesota to see music.
This is Minnesota, this is Minneapolis, this is Prince.
I like to think of it as that he thought of it as his hometown record store. We'll refer to Prince's music as the sound of Minneapolis because he's a world-renowned, super gifted genius on almost any instrument. And to have that locally, it's like the hometown hero. It'll take a long time to get over the shock of this and the sadness of this, but I think forever to go on, it will be our job as the Electric Fetus and our job as the Twin Cities to celebrate his legacy and continue on his legacy for years to come.
Perhaps one of the more freakish things is when we would get new music and we knew that he'd be listening to us as we were playing it on the radio. And as a DJ, you know, you're accustomed to playing music for thousands of people, but when you're like, I'm going to play a brand new Prince song and Prince is listening, that was wild. How are you today? What's going on over there? I think the thing about Minneapolis music at this point is how varied it is. We see collaborations between bluegrass bands and hip-hop artists and all kinds of activity that you might not see in other places. And if you think back to Prince's sound, the way he combined soul and funk and rock and new wave and all these elements and brought them together to create the sort of 80s version of the Minneapolis sound, it's really emblematic of how the music scene has gone from Prince forward and developed over the last 30 years. There's also a thing about Minneapolis, it's called Minneapolis nice, and it's this sort of aw shucks politeness, and I feel like Prince played with that stereotype on both sides of it. There are times when he's really heartfelt and really humble, and then there's other times when he kind of worked against that stereotype and projected a whole different attitude. But he seemed to know that no matter where he went, this was always the place to call home.